One of the quieter but more powerful changes that occurs with aging is the disruption of appetite regulation, a complex hormonal system that tells us when to eat, how much, and when to stop. As people grow older, the signals that once helped maintain a healthy relationship with food often become blurred or weakened. Hormones such as ghrelin and leptin, central to hunger and satiety, stop behaving as reliably as they did in youth. This hormonal drift can lead to both undereating and overeating, but increasingly, it contributes to a slow, stealthy weight gain and metabolic imbalance in older adults. Ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone, is produced primarily in the stomach and tells the brain it's time to eat. In younger individuals, ghrelin rises predictably before meals and falls after eating. But as people age, this rhythm becomes erratic. Some older adults experience a dulling of ghrelin response, leading to reduced hunger and skipped meals, particularly breakfast. Others, especially those with poor sleep, chronic stress, or high visceral fat, may see ghrelin levels remain inappropriately elevated, driving frequent snacking and late-night eating. The body's natural meal timing instincts weaken, and with it, the ability to regulate intake based on internal cues rather than habit or convenience. Leptin, on the other hand, is secreted by fat cells and signals the brain when we've had enough to eat. In a well-functioning system, more body fat leads to higher leptin levels, which reduce appetite and promote energy balance. But as people age and gain weight, especially visceral fat around the abdomen, leptin levels rise abnormally, yet the brain becomes resistant to its effects. This leptin resistance means that satiety signals are weakened even as the body stores more fat. In practical terms, older adults may feel less satisfied after eating and more prone to mindless or compulsive eating, particularly of calorie-dense comfort foods. This hormonal confusion is compounded by other age-related shifts. The sense of taste and smell often declines, leading people to prefer highly flavored, salty, or sugary foods just to feel satisfied. Digestive motility slows down, making large meals feel uncomfortable, but small frequent meals, if poorly chosen, can create a grazing pattern that keeps insulin elevated and fat burning suppressed. Psychological factors also play a role. Loneliness, boredom, and anxiety, common in older age, can easily mask as hunger, and emotional eating becomes harder to distinguish from genuine appetite. To make matters worse, age-related changes in the brain's hypothalamus, the region responsible for integrating hunger and energy cues, can reduce its sensitivity to both ghrelin and leptin. The central command system itself becomes less responsive. This can result in a dangerous mismatch between what the body needs and what it thinks it needs. Older adults may not feel hungry when their body requires nourishment, or they may feel persistent hunger even when caloric needs are low due to reduced activity or muscle mass. Either direction, undereating or overeating, can lead to metabolic damage, nutrient deficiencies, or worsening fat accumulation. Another subtle danger is how disrupted appetite regulation erodes food awareness over time. When hunger and fullness signals become unreliable, people shift from intuitive eating to external cues, meal timing, portion size, food marketing, or emotional states. This disconnect contributes to poor food choices and increases the likelihood of eating for reasons other than hunger. In a society saturated with hyperpalatable, ultra-processed foods, this vulnerability becomes a serious health risk. Despite all this, the situation is not hopeless. Appetite regulation can be recalibrated with the right interventions, both biological and behavioral. One of the most powerful ways to restore balance is to prioritize meals that are nutrient-dense and protein-rich. Protein stimulates satiety hormones more effectively than carbohydrates or fats, and it helps preserve muscle mass, which supports better hormone signaling. Including protein at each meal, particularly in the morning, can help stabilize ghrelin levels and reduce late-day overeating. Meal timing also matters. Consistent eating patterns, especially with a regular breakfast and a light evening meal, can retrain the body's circadian rhythms and align appetite hormones more predictably. Avoiding late-night eating, which disrupts insulin and leptin sensitivity, is particularly important for older adults who already face age-related metabolic slowdown. Sleep, too, is critical. Even one night of poor sleep alters ghrelin and leptin levels in ways that promote hunger and reduce satiety. Older adults often struggle with fragmented sleep, which creates a hormonal environment that encourages overeating. Addressing sleep hygiene, not just for rest, but for metabolic health, is an essential part of appetite regulation. Physical activity offers another protective effect. Regular movement improves insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, and helps normalize appetite hormones. Even gentle forms of activity, walking, tai chi, gardening, can support better hunger and fullness cues while also lifting mood and reducing emotional eating triggers. Finally, mindfulness practices can play a surprisingly powerful role in restoring appetite regulation. Eating slowly, without distraction, and tuning into the body's cues helps retrain the brain to recognize hunger and satiety. Mindful eating reduces the likelihood of impulsive snacking and emotional eating, both of which bypass hormonal control mechanisms and perpetuate the cycle of weight gain. In conclusion, aging disrupts the delicate balance of appetite regulation in ways that are easy to overlook but deeply consequential. As hunger and satiety hormones like ghrelin and leptin become less reliable, older adults are at greater risk of both undernourishment and chronic overeating. The decline in internal regulation, when paired with a toxic food environment and sedentary lifestyle, creates a perfect storm for weight gain and metabolic disease. But awareness is the first defense, and with deliberate changes in diet, sleep, activity, and eating behavior, it is possible to restore a healthier, more intuitive relationship with food. The aging body still responds to care and structure. The challenge is not just to eat less, but to eat with attention, nourishment, and consistency so the body can once again trust its own signals.